guys, hi. A couple months ago now, I watched a show called Fight Dragon, which I fucking loved. It was a Japanese television show. I think it aired in the 60s, and right immediately after that, I watched about 2 or 3 other shows that I was meaning to talk about, and I never did. We're gonna get to some of those. I'm gonna talk about 2, because these 2 are very much connected. You can see in the title. And if you don't know anything about these shows, I'm going to try to help you figure out if you like them or not. I'm just trying to basically spread the word of Japanese live-action TV on American R1 DVD. Because that doesn't really happen very often, and most of the time it is fighting slash monster shows, and this runs in the category of monster shows. And that is, first off, Ultraman! This is Ultraman, the complete series. Ooh, such a good show. But I can't talk about this without talking about this show, and that is Ultraseven. Now, these are 2 shows that are in the same series, but different characters. We'll get to that in a second. And they're basically, and I like to say this with this kind of show, it is Godzilla. Imagine your typical Godzilla, Mothra, our giant turtle, Gamera, those movies, except they can't be hour and a half, they have to be 22 minutes or 25 minutes, smushed down, and you get monster movie, 30-minute movies, and they're amazing. Now, what are these about? A lot of people like saying this, and I do too. It is basically Japanese Star Trek. These were both done in the 60s, I believe so. This was after, of course. This is the 2nd series in the Ultraman universe. The original first series was Ultra Q, but it doesn't have an Ultra Fighter, which we'll get to that in a second. And this, I believe, came after Ultraman. I probably will be corrected, but I believe this came after this show, like right after. And also has an Ultra Fighter. You're probably thinking, who are these Ultra Fighters? In your typical monster movie, you usually have Godzilla wrecking the place, and then he gets taken out. But in a couple of the movies, you have someone like a hero fighting Godzilla. And in this case, the hero is a part of a police group, a scientific police group in the future. Called the Ultra Squad. They changed their names from here to there. I have a little bit of a reference sheet here. They changed their names. I'm just going to call them the Ultra Squad, which are basically, imagine Star Trek, except they never left Earth, but they protect Earth from things coming to attack them. Is the best way, I think, to explain it. They even have phasers and everything. It's that kind of thing. But one of the crew members gets usually a device in these series. There's a whole bunch of them, as I said, but this general idea goes through. They have a device that allows them to transform into an Ultra Fighter. I know that's not the official name, Ultra Fighter. I'm just going to use it just so it makes sense to you guys. An Ultra Fighter. And basically, he is a fighter who can fight these giant monsters and save and protect the Earth. Now, that is the general idea of these series, but we'll talk about how it works out in Ultraman. Now, this is the Ultraman. I believe this is Mill Creek released, which means usually their packaging is garbage. This is one of the better packaging of Mill Creek. If you don't know, they usually like putting, I can actually have an example here. They like putting things in paper sleeves, which destroy the discs. If you ever get a Mill Creek release, and if you can, switch out the discs into something. Even a spindle case is 100 times better than paper sleeves, because you hear that? That scratches discs, so they will ruin your discs. But if you get this release, which is the release commonly found now, it is a spindle case with, I think, 3-4 discs, something like that. I think it's 3 discs, 4 discs. Sorry, 4 discs. With how many episodes per disc? It's usually about 9 or so episodes. They change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes on that one, but it's usually around 10, under 10. Ultraman has 39 episodes, and how this story basically folds out is the Ultra Squad, which I'll call them, is doing an investigation of lights in the sky, and one of these lights is chasing another light. It's very much a UFO type encounter, and one of the lights crash lands, and I believe, and I'm trying to remember, it crash lands, killing an Ultra Squad member accidentally. It was totally accident, and it was a fluke event basically. And that Ultra Squad member was called Hayata, I believe. Hayata is your main character in this series, and we find out the UFO type light thing is actually a being called Ultraman, and that's not his, I guess, his real name, but that's the name that they give him, so we understand it. And he's from a distant galaxy type thing, and he's being chased by this other thing, and because he feels horrible about what he did, he basically puts his life in Hayata. I could be saying names wrong. If I am, I apologize, but he puts his life into Hayata, and what that does is allows him to be alive, but also gives him a capsule. Now this capsule looks like, kind of like a flashlight. I'm kind of looking around to see if I can find anything, but it looks like a metal tube with a button on top. And when he hits that button, he transforms into a skyscraper tall being who can fight other skyscraper tall beings like Godzilla and that. They don't have Godzilla, but they have Godzilla type creatures, if you know what I mean. And usually every episode, in the most case, is a giant alien being. It might not start off as a giant alien being, it might be your normal typical small alien that can usually transform. It usually has to be in the case of why Ultraman has to become Ultraman in each episode. And it is basically your typical monster movie, or the monster of the week, basically. And it's pretty great. And without spoilers, the show ends very nicely and calmly. Usually each Ultraman I've seen so far, it ends in a sad but happy way, usually. A way where it's sad to see it go, but you're happy how it turns out is usually how they end the show. And that happens in Ultraman. Now Ultraman, they all have weaknesses. Usually an Ultra Fighter has a weakness of some sort. And it's been a while since I've seen this, I'm not gonna lie, but I think he just has an energy cell which, after so long, I forget how it gets powered, it might be the sun, but after a while it'll start beeping, and if it stops beeping, Ultraman dies. Well, what I mean beeping, if it stops beeping and turns off, Ultraman dies. And every single fight usually ends up in that scenario where you're like, oh, is he gonna die? But you know he's not gonna die, because he's the main character, you know. But, this show is great, but it looks slightly dated, because it's from the 60s. But it's really good. It's fun. That's why I like these shows. That's why I like all these Japanese shows I watch. Not because I'm some weird weeaboo guy. It's because I find them fun and hilarious. Now, this is where Ultraseven comes in. Now, Ultraseven, basically, so I don't repeat everything I just said, has a lot of the same principles as Ultraman, except how the characters work are slightly different. For example, Hayata had a freak accident and was given the power of Ultraman, where Ultraseven is Ultraseven, except when he originally came down to Earth, which I'm not sure if he meant to or what happened there, he saved a man. I forget what the man's name, but he saved the man because the man was being, he sacrificed himself to save someone else, and it was the first thing Ultraseven saw, so he replaced his image of this into a human with the same image of that man, and he called himself, and I have my cheat sheet here, Dan Mobashi. That's Mobashi. Probably wrong, I can't say last names. I can say Dan, but he chooses the identity of Dan, who is looks like a typical human guy, and after the first episode is recruited into the Ultra Squad. Same really principle, except with Ultraseven, he doesn't have the device like Ultraman does. He has these glasses. Now they're like little shades like this, where he takes it out of his pocket, puts them on, and he goes. Now you're probably thinking, okay, so it's the exact same show except with a different character, slightly different stuff. And you can say that, except Ultraseven has powers that are far greater than Ultraman when you get to a technical aspect, which are basically Ultraman 7 can change his size. He can go to a microorganism to as tall as Godzilla to as tall as a human and fight human-sized things just with strength, where Ultraman can't. Ultraman, well, from what we saw, Ultraman can only be giant Ultraman fighting giant things. So that aspect of Ultraseven gives him a lot more of a dynamic way to fight, which makes him a lot better. Not just that, Ultraseven's attacks are far greater. You can probably see this weird spike thing on his head. It's actually like a blade that goes like this, which can be removed and thrown like that, which he can control to cut limbs. So he can be like, and then it can fly away back onto his head, and then we just see the limbs just separate. A lot of enemies are killed that way, and it's great. Every time you see it happen, you're not like, oh, okay, here he goes again, killing him with the axe head thing. You're like, no, he's doing it again, yes! And he does it, and just how the limbs go, it's beautiful every time. It's one of my favorite ways of killing. That sounds horrible, but it's one of my favorite ways he does his attacks. He has an Ultra Beam. He has, I think he has like Ultra Breath or something. He has a bunch of different attacks, which are very similar to Ultraman's attacks, except I just feel Ultraseven can use them better. I do feel like Ultraseven is a better character and a better show, but I really can't recommend watching this unless you watch this, because I don't think you can appreciate this as much until you watch this. And it's not like there's a huge date time, like, oh, this is from the 60s and this is from the 80s. They're like a couple of years, like a year or two after each other. So these shows are great. I should say this is actually done from Shout Factory, and I think it's 6 discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discs. Which has them a bit spread out. There's really no special features. But I should say there is a banned episode. It's not on here. I guess the Japanese will not release it to anywhere. If you actually give me 1 second, I could actually tell you which episode it was. There's a bit of a write-up here. It actually comes with a booklet, which tells you a bit about the characters and the show and how it was made and interviews and stuff. And it comes with a bit of an episode guide, which if I can find it. Episode 11, Fly to the Devil's Mountain, is not included. Just says episode 12 was banned from broadcast in Japan due to the concerns that episodes featuring aliens portrayed as disfigured creatures afflicted with radiation sickness and burns would be offensive to the survivors of the atomic bomb dropped in Japan during World War II. This episode was not made available to us for this set from the licensor. From our stand, it's not been released anywhere. I don't know if the Japanese and their sets were given it, but apparently it's not out there. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I just thought of that now while recording this. It's probably on YouTube. Probably as soon as I'm done this, I will watch it, so I can have at least one more episode. But there is like something like 15 of these shows in Japan. But down here, there's only, well, there's technically 3. The third one I might talk about. It's very rare to get, and it's called Ultraman Taiga, I believe. But it was released by, I believe, 4Kids? Or like Funimation. It was released from a company that doesn't usually get this kind of thing, and they didn't dub it. It's subbed only, but box set 4 or 3, I think it's box set 3, costs like $200, $300, so not happening. But almost 100 episodes of giant monster fighting. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. This you can get for about $10. If you're in America, maybe even less. It is dirt cheap. Subtitled only. I should say there is some subtitle issues. Sometimes they get off timing. It's Mill Creek's poor quality. Mill Creek is notorious for releasing some cheap, unknown stuff, but also not caring about what they're doing. Shout Factories is a lot better release this here, Ultraseven. Subtitles have been, from what I saw, were 100% fine. I think there might have been one episode where they were a little off, but otherwise fine. But they do have a bit of video glitching once in a while. like the video will kind of stutter, but it's never during dialogue. It's like during just little things where it's like and then it goes again. Very weird. Might be just my copy, but it does it. This actually has another video thing too, where the video, it almost like it's like cutting out to another show and then cutting back really fast. I can't remember what episode it is, but there's a weird video glitch at one point. If you see it, you know what I mean. But otherwise, for $10, I'm not complaining. This is actually more around $30 if you're in if you're in a Canadian. If you're in Canada, I can't even say my own place, but probably around $25 you can get this down here. In the States, you might be able to get it for under 20. I don't know, but I can't recommend these enough. My hair is crazy, I know, but please go watch these. These are 2 more Japanese TV shows that I recommend. And yeah, if you've seen these, comment below, tell me what you think. What do you think is better, Ultraseven or Ultraman? I think Ultraman personally, but I don't think you can watch this without watching this. You know. I'm not done with these. I think I'll do a couple more of these videos where it's Japanese TV on DVD, because I have a few more I kind of want to show and talk about. And there's more being released, like Japanese Power Rangers is being released in February. I've always wanted to see that. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you don't know, if you're new to seeing this, I do usually anime, manga, and video game updates every month. December, which is this month, is going to be a little sucky because I didn't get that much because of Christmas shopping. But yeah, I do that, talk about anime, I talk about this, and once in a while I apparently talk about Japanese TV shows! So thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, do what you do, and I have a Breaking Bad shirt. Merry Christmas.